How about now? How about now? Oh, look at that. That's stupid. All right, I think we got it. Everybody hear me now? Everybody hear me now? Okay. Damn. Sorry, everyone. So used to PlayStation 4 for so long, PlayStation 5 had to be more complicated. So go figure. So here we are, one more time. Welcome to SRL F1 2022 on the PlayStation platform, round 13 of Season 8 here at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Lots to talk about heading into today's race. As we get ready to run down the driver lineup, we're going to do an 18-minute short qualifying session followed by a 50% race. And, of course, the big talk of the town right now is last week coming out of Spa, Logan Aron walked away with his 8th pole position of the season and his 7th win, while Tim Ventic had a very rare DNF, and that has given a 28 points lead to Logan Aron in the championship. Logan Aron now with 211 points to his credit. Tim Ventic, who was only 3 points behind heading into last week's race, only now has 183 to his credit. 28-point lead for Logan Aron heading into today's race. Nicolo Falzaresi, this is going to be his home Grand Prix. He'll be wearing a special helmet design going into today's race, and he's coming off of another podium finish last week, and that has catapulted him third into the points with 151. He is now third, moved ahead of Oleski, who was in fourth in points with 140. Last week, Logan won the race. Nicolo picked up his 5th podium finish of the season. Friabile with his 3rd podium of the season since he has joined the league. Oleski finished 4th. Sandro Dulius with a good, solid run into 5th. Vincenzo Torri was 6th. Lewis Marshall 7th. Luke Smith 8th. Ivan Brito with a much-needed points-paying finish was 9th. And Dion Stahl rounded out your top 10 points-paying positions last week at Spa, where we saw carnage on the first lap. Jesper Lempinen would finish 11th. Robin Herterstegen would finish 12th. Jur Marusic was 13th. And then 14th through 18th was all DNFs. That was Max Mulder, Christian Dorman, Tim Ventic, Cameron Wesson-Edwards, and Nick Van Gelder with his 2nd DNF of the season, who also joined me in the booth last week after his crash. And other big news as well, Max Mulder will not be joining us today. He has been suspended and banned for the remainder of the Formula One season after conspiring to create an incident to get his penalty points removed, also falsifying a report on behalf of another driver, and then also, unfortunately, trying to get everything going here. That is not what I wanted. I don't want to spectate him. And he was also suspended for, unfortunately, giving the stewards a hard time. I'm sure that's not how they officially put it, but he set out purposely to try and crash his car. There we go. He set out to he was going to purposely crash his car across the line, which is a big no-no here at SRL. And that was going to give him a race ban, and that would then reset his penalty points in the penalty point system. But because of did not actually crash in a regular race incident, that never happened. But he also falsified a report on behalf of another driver, trying to get Nick Van Gelder banned on penalty points for crashing into Jur Marusic during qualifying, exiting the pit lane. But Jur did not want to report the incident. Did not affect Jur's race. Did not give Max Mulder permission to do a report. So all 3 of those things, and really just being derogatory towards the stewards, was ultimately icing on the cake, so Max Mulder will be banned for F1 for the remainder of the season. He is on probation as far as the GT3 championship. He will still be allowed to compete in that for the time being, as we currently watch Logan Arond, who has a leading 8 pole positions this season, as he is on his first timed lap of the session. So we've got 16 drivers for today's race. As I said, we'll do an 18-minute short qualifying session, followed by a 50% race. I hope I'm getting everybody caught up on everything as Logan Arond heads down into Ascari. Down this back straightaway, we're heading into the Parabolica as we see a caution flag flying in Sector 2. That's at Lesmos 2. It looks like where that incident is taking place. And down into the Parabolica. And Logan Arond is going to come across the line with the first timed lap of the session with a 1:19.713. We'll pick up Lewis Marshall as he is heading through Ascari now and down the back straightaway. Lewis Marshall making his comeback a few races ago. Looks like he's going to get a little bit of a slipstream. Oh my goodness! And that is Vincenzo Torri. I'm sorry, that was Nicolo Falzaresi and Lewis Marshall. And that was huge as we see Christian Dorman set a time of 1:29.95. And wow. So Nicolo Falzaresi is out of qualifying at his home race, coming off a podium finish last week. Lewis Marshall is out of qualifying after that incident. We'll pick up Free Abile. He just set a time of 1:20.040, followed by Christian Dorman, 1:29.95. Ivan Brito with a 1:21.089. Dion Stahl, 1:21.389. Cameron Wesson Edwards, 1:21.743. And Luke Smith, I believe, well, he's not actually setting a time. Luke Smith's just doing what Luke Smith does. So we'll pick up Louis Quinlan, making his comeback as a reserve driver, semi-replacement for Max Mulder. Louis Quinlan has been with SRL for a number of years. All in all, he's got 136 points and 28 starts across multiple seasons of SRL. Quinlan has shown flashes of speed in the past, but a lot of inconsistency as he goes third quickest on the time charts, 1:23.99. Good to see Louis Quinlan back in a car here at SRL. We will go pick up Oleski, fourth in the points. He's yet to set a timed lap. Looks like he had to dodge a car there. And we do have Max Mulder on the live stream chat, so good to see that he's still with us in some capacity. And we see Oleski goes across the line 1:20.061, third quickest behind Free Abile, and sneaks in between him and Louis Quinlan. We'll hop on board with Free Ab as he comes out of the first chicane and heads down towards the second chicane on this timed lap. See if he's got any more gas in the tank. Through Lesmos 1, got a caution flag flying Sector 2. Oh, and a big moment. Oh, and he's in the wall. So Free Ab was on a hot lap. Got a little throttle happy. Puts it into the wall. Oleski coming around. Let's pick up Nick Van Gelder after his incident last week, crashing out on the first lap. Big wreck for him. Spent his time in the booth with me. Currently 9th quickest. 1:21.695. And it looks like he's going to dive into the pits. So we'll pick up Senna Haywire. He hasn't set a time yet. He did not participate in last week's race. I'm currently on an out lap. So Senna could use a good race finish. He put on quite the display a couple of races ago, though. Had a fairly good run in Monaco, I believe it was. Or it might have been Hungary. See him wiggling, trying to put some heat into those tires on this outlap as he heads into the Parabolica. We'll hop on board with him. Got a lot of guys in the pits. 10 minutes left to play in the session as we continue to launch our short qualifying session. We'll hop on board with Senna Hayward as he heads down towards turn 1 and 2. Blows by one of the cars coming out of the pits. Yellow flag, sector 2. Looks like that again. That's at the Lesmos area. Looks like that might be one of the Williams. Could be Christian Dorman again. Possibly Lewis Marshall. We continue to ride on board with Senna. A lot of guys on outlaps now. Sandro, Christian Dorman, Ivan Brito, Dion Stahl, Nick Van Gelder. Whoa, and a big moment there, and around goes Senna. He dropped a wheel in the grass, gets out of the way of an oncoming Haas. Looks like that would be Logan Arand.
Yeah,
Actually, looks like that was Tim Ventic. So Tim Ventic is yet to set a time. We jump on board with him as he comes down this back straightaway. He's going to head into the Parabolica, start a first-time lap of the session. Tim's going to be looking to make up for last week for sure. Had an incident at the top of Radion at Spa, all by himself too. Wasn't involved in the opening lap melee, wasn't involved in anything else, did it all on his own. It was a huge disappointment for Tim. A very rare DNF for the former SRL champion. And Ivan Brito has retired from the session, so his time's going to be locked in. Currently 7th quickest at a 1:21.089. Looks like that was an incident at the Lesmos, coming out of Lesmos 1 into between the short chute between 1 and 2. We continue to ride along with Tim Ventic. He's getting ready to come up on that incident. Hopefully Ivan's car is out of the way. Looks like it is all clear as Tim Ventic heads through the short chute of Lesmos 1 and 2. Back on the throttle. And down this straightaway here as we head towards Ascari. Whoa, and a big moment for Tim as he spins it coming out of Ascari. And the champion got a little too much curbing there as he's going to let some of the other cars go by. We'll pick up Friab Bile. Friab is coming up on that incident now as he heads through Ascari. Senna Hayward has retired from the session. He's got a time locked in at 1:37.410. That is 13th quickest so far. Looks like he crashed at Ascari as well. You saw his car bend into the wall. Looks like he may have picked up too much curbing as well, just like Tim Ventic did a moment ago. Friab coming through the Parabolica. He's going to come across the line. Can he improve his time? Does he have anything for Logan Arand? He does not. 1:19.798. He inches closer and closer. And an epic, the animal Logan Arand and Friab Bile, the only two drivers to crack into the 1:19s. Looks like Oleski's currently on an out lap. And Christian Dorman with a solid 5th place run so far. 1:25.65. That puts him in front of Sandro Dulius. Sandro starting a timed lap now. We'll ride along with him. Right behind him in the running order, Dion Stahl, his teammate, for the 1:28.11. So Team Ferrari 6 and 7 right now, the longest tenured teammates in SRL history. Sandro using a lot of curb heading into that hairpin, or I should say chicane. Through Lesmos 1. A lot of guys have had some issues here today so far. 6 minutes left to play in the session. Who is going to grab pole? Right now, provisional pole sitter Logan Arand, 1:19.713. He's got a league-leading 8 pole positions so far this year in SRL. Sandro Dulius down into Ascari here in Monza. Down the back straightaway as he gets ready to head into the Parabolica. Can he improve his position? Had a good solid run last week in a hard-fought battle towards the end of the race between him, Luke Smith, and Lewis Marshall. And Sandro is going to come across the line. Does improve his time. Fourth quickest on the charts. 1:23.61. Moves himself ahead of Louis Quinlan and Christian Dorman. We'll pick up Oleski. Oleski is 9 thousandths of a second over his previous time as he comes out of Ascari. So that would improve his time, but not his position. He's going to have to nail the Parabolica if he wants to try and gain any time on the two front runners of Logan Arand and Friabile. And 1:19.733 for Oleski, moves into second on the time charts. There's now three drivers in the 1:19s, and they're all 1:19.7. You see how close it is between the top three runners there. Looks like we'll pick up Nick Van Gelder. Looks like he's the only driver on track right now that's going to be getting ready to do any type of timed lap. So he comes out of Ascari and down the back straightaway. There's a few other drivers that are just coming out of the pits. See, Logan Arand has come out of the pits. Christian Dorman has come out of the pits. All on out laps. So we'll ride along with Nick as he dives into the pits. Wonderful. My timing is impeccable. So we'll pick up Logan Arand. Your provisional pole sitter here as the time winds down. See if he can improve his time, put a staple into this qualifying session. Logan with a league-leading 8 pole positions so far this year, here in round 14 of this season. He is your championship points leader after Tim Ventic, who has not set a time. Crashed out last week. 28-point gap between him and his teammate, Tim Ventic. Now, Tim is currently on an out lap, has yet to set a time. We saw him spin it at Ascari a few minutes ago. We'll watch Logan Arand right aboard him. He's coming out of the Parabolica, getting ready to start a timed lap now. We'll ride along with him, and as soon as his lap is done, we'll jump on over to Tim Ventic, see if Tim's got anything for the three front runners that have all cracked into the 1:19s. We'll see if Logan can improve his time. 1:19.713, your provisional pole time. Does Logan have anything left in the bag that he can pull to try and improve that time? Caution flag flies sector 2. That's one of the Alpines heading into. It looks like that might have been Louis Quinlan heading into the Parabolica as Tim Ventic comes out of the chicane. I'm sorry, Logan Arand into Lesmos 1. Down the straightaway into Ascari. We've seen a number of drivers have problems here. Tim Ventic, Ivan Brito. And Logan is going to come out of the Parabolica. Excuse me. 1:19.527, improves his time. We'll pick up Tim Ventic. Tim Ventic getting ready to come across the line. A 1:20.084. Tim Ventic is fourth quickest on the charts. Sandro currently on an outlap. We'll pick up Louis Quinlan. Quinlan is down by 84 hundredths of a second of his previous time, so he's not going to be able to improve his time unless he gets a stellar run out of the Parabolica. 1 minute left remaining in this session, and Quinlan crashes into the wall at the Parabolica. So his session is done. Not sure if he missed his braking marker or what that was. We'll pick up Christian Dorman as he comes across the line through the Parabolica. That's at the Louis Quinlan incident there. And Friab Belay is currently on an outlap. Don't think he's going to have enough time to get back around the track. Dorman is going to be locked in. We'll pick up Oleski. And Oleski is just starting this lap. Pick up Friab Belay. We'll see where Friab's at. Friab coming, looks like he's invalidated his lap time. And time is up. Friab Belay is going to be locked in at his time. We'll jump back on board with Oleski as he heads into the second chicane. Getting ready to head down into Lesmos 1. Time is up. Hot laps will count here at the end of this session. Tim Ventic locked in at a 1:20.084. Only good enough for fourth. We're riding along with Oleski as we speak. 1:19.733. Does he have anything for the top two runners? You see how close it is between Friab Belay and Logan Arand at the first and second. Logan Arand looking at his 9th pole position of the season, and around goes Oleski, slams it into the wall. Breaks the right rear suspension. We'll pick up Sandro Dulius heading down the back straightaway as that incident happened right in front of him through the parabolica. Can Sandro improve his position? It's going to be close as he gets ready to come across the line at a 1:20.277. Only good enough for fifth quickest. And it looks like that is going to do it. Time is up. Logan Arand, this is Friab Belay. Logan Arand with his league-leading 9th pole position of the season. And wow. So here is your starting order. Logan Arand with another pole position. Friab Belay will be starting in second. Oleski is third. Tim Ventic fourth. Sandro Dulius will be fifth. Nick Van Gelder is sixth. Louis Quinlan making his SRL return will be starting in seventh. Christian Dorman is eighth. Dion Stoll is 9th. Cameron Weston Edwards, 10th quickest. Ivan Brito crashed out early, locked in at 11th. Robin Herderstag in 12th. Luke Smith actually did set a time on intermediates nonetheless at a 1:25.504. That should say something. Senna Haywire is going to be 14th quickest. Lewis Marshall, no time set for him. Jor Marusic, no time set for him. And Nicolo Falzarezzi, who was involved in that crash with Lewis Marshall, will be starting in the 17th position in his home Grand Prix. So we just got done doing our 18-minute short qualifying session. We're going to back that up with a 50% race. We've got Sam Brandt on the live chat, and we see some guys talking about that incident. You see Luke Smith saying he out-qualified somebody on intermediates. It should also be noted that you're only 6 seconds off of the pole position on intermediates. So if Luke ever actually applied himself, he could be a championship contender. So Lewis Marshall involved in that incident with Nicolo Falzarezzi. Interested to see what the stewards might think after that race. I'm sure that incident will get reported and will definitely get looked at. We got a great view of it on the live stream as we were on board with Lewis Marshall when it happened. And I don't think Nicolo, I think he thought all the cars were passed, but they definitely weren't. So we'll run down the running order one more time here as we get ready to do the warm-up lap. Logan Arand, Epic the Animal, his league-leading 9th pole position of the season. He'll be followed by Friab Belay in the Alpine. Oleski with a great run starting in the 3rd spot. He is also 4th in points now after last week's race where Nicolo Falzarezzi picked up another podium position. Tim Ventic crashed out last week at Spa and lost a huge chunk of points to his teammate Logan Arand for the championship points battle. Now 28-point deficit for him heading into today's race. Sandro Dulius will be starting in 5th. That is where he finished last week. Can he sneak his way into the podiums? And Nick Van Gelder with a solid qualifying effort going to be starting in the 6th position, your Season 4 champion, looking to try and make his way towards the front, see if he can get a podium in today's race. Louis Quinlan making a return. He's got 136 points and 28 races with SRL. That's about 5 points a race. He'll be looking to try and do the same as he makes his SRL return today, followed by Christian Dorman in the 8th position, and Dion Stahl could only muster 9th. Cameron Weston Edwards crashed out last week at Spa on lap 1 through a Rouge and Radion. He'll be looking to try and put some points on the board today. And Ivan Brito had his best race of the season last week, where he finished 9th. He'll be looking to try and do the same, put some points back on the board. And Robin Herderstag will be starting in 12th. Luke Smith, who set a time of 1:25 on intermediates, will be starting in the 13th position. He'll be followed by Senna Haywire, and Lewis Marshall was involved in that qualifying incident. Was not able to set a time. Joma Rusic and Nicolo Falzarezzi will round out your 17 cars for today's Grand Prix. And Nicolo Falzarezzi, this is his home Grand Prix. He was wearing a special livery helmet for today's race. Bumped his way into 3rd in the points last week. Unfortunately, he crashed out in qualifying, so he will have his work cut out for him as he starts in the 17th position for today's 27-lap race. So we're waiting for the grid to reset. It'll be a long run down towards 1. What kind of incidents will we see at the opening chicane? Or will everybody get through nice and clean? All right. Lights out. Time to run what you brung their way in a puff of smoke, and it's a good start by Oleski and Logan Aron as they head down towards turn 1 side by side. And look at them fan out. We got some guys in the grass already as they head down into turn 1. Oleski's going to try and go to the outside of Free Abile through the chicane. And a 3-second time penalty for Sandro Dulius, and it's wheel-to-wheel action as we watch side-by-side action through turn 2. And Sandro may have been trying to avoid an incident there at turn 1. But it looks like everybody pretty much made it through that relatively unscathed. Dion Stahl looks like he was the big loser in that as he comes out in the 17th position. Oh, excuse me. We pick up Luke Smith in the back here. Whoa, we've got one of the Red Bulls off. Looks like that was Joma Rusic at Lesmos 2. Lost it going into the corner. Into the sand he goes. And now that's the battle for 17th. That's Joma Rusic and Dion Stahl. Back up at the front. Logan Aron gets away cleanly. 1.3-second gap to Oleski, who's being followed by Free Abile as they head into the Parabolica. Tim Ventic still in the 4th position. He is now followed by Christian Dorman in the Williams. And Cameron Weston Edwards has made his way from 10th to 6th on the opening lap. Ivan Brito's up into the points as he's getting passed now on the inside by Sandro Dulius. Sandro's got that 3-second time penalty, which will probably be looked at the end of this race. And it's a 3-car battle as they head down into turn 1. Lewis Marshall and the other Williams trying to figure out which line he wants to take. And he's going to try and go to the inside, outside of Ivan Brito. And this was a battle that we saw last week was between these two. And you see Senna Haywire has made his way into the top 10. As he is right behind Lewis Marshall now. And again, Lewis trying to go around the outside, and he's going to muscle his way. Oh, and Christian Dorman looks like he's going around. And Dorman lost it at the second chicane, drops through the running order. So unbelievable action here on this opening lap. Ivan Brito in 8th, Lewis Marshall now in front of him. Sandro still got that time penalties all over the back of Cameron Weston Edwards. This is a long-time rivalry right here. They've always said they were off-track friends, on-track rivals. Cameron Weston Edwards and Sandro Dulius. Sandro with the slipstream down the back straightaway as they head towards the Parabolica. DRS is not involved in this pass. And Sandro's going to cut across the nose of Cameron Weston Edwards. Power move by Sandro Dulius to pick up that 5th position. Meanwhile, Logan Aron is still out in front to the tune of 1.3 seconds. We hop on board with Tim Ventic, who's currently running 4th down this front straightaway. He's going to pick up the slipstream off of Free Abile, but again, no DRS enabled just yet. Looks like Louis Quinlan's making a pass on Ivan Brito for the 8th position. Oh, we've got somebody off. I don't know who that was. Was that Ivan Brito that we were just talking about? Looks like he was off at coming out of the chicane and into the turn 3 sector. Luke Smith to the inside. I'm sorry. Well, that's a lot of inside. Whoa, and we've got a collision. This is Nicolo Falzaresi, Luke Smith, and one of the Aston Martins. Looks like that might have been Senna Haywire. And now Luke Smith looks like he's got wing damage. Dion Stahl. And Nicolo Falzaresi was also involved in that. And it looks like DRS is now enabled as all these guys are heading down into Ascari. This is going to be a mess coming into here for sure. Whoa, and a collision. That's Luke Smith again, and around he goes, busts into Dion Stahl. Senna Haywire is around. Robin Herderstagen is involved in this. And the whole back half of this field has been playing Demolition Derby this lap. 13th through 17th are all going to need to pit. Meanwhile, we pick up Oleski, who's currently running in the second spot. Looks like we've got Lewis Marshall. Lewis finds himself behind Louis Quinlan. This is a battle on track we haven't seen for a number of seasons, since both of these guys have been out of SRL for quite a while. Meanwhile, Tim Ventic trying to close the gap and get onto the podium. He's riding behind Friad Bile right now, the Ethiopian running in third in the Alpine. Tim Ventic running in fourth down the back straightaway and into Ascari. We saw him have trouble through Ascari during qualifying. We see Sandro is finally making the move on Cameron Weston Edwards to get around him once again. And Louis Quinlan picks up a 3-second time penalty. So the battle between Sandro and Cameron hasn't let down. Sandro passed him a few laps ago. Cut across the nose as he went into the Parabolica. It was a great move. See, Nicolo Falzaresi is trying to make his way back into the points. He moves into the 10th spot after being involved in that incident. Looks like he was involved in that incident. Didn't get any damage to his car, though. Meanwhile, back at the front, we've got this battle is really starting to heat up here. Tim Ventic and Friad Bile for the third position. While these two are fighting it out, it's allowed Oleski to pull a few tenths of a gap over these two guys. Meanwhile, Logan Aron is out in front, commanding this race to the tune of 2.2 seconds. We see Falzaresi and Ivan Brito battling it out on the timing sheet here as we continue to ride along with Tim Ventic through Lesmos 1 and Lesmos 2. DRS will be enabled. Can he get any type of good slipstream, or are we going to create a DRS train between these three cars? Not a great line for Tim Ventic through Ascari. A little bit of a twitch coming out of there. He's definitely going to be getting some aero wash across the front of his nose coming off of Friad Bile's car. Hop on board with Friad Bile in the Alpine. He'll have the DRS along with Tim Ventic as these two are going to come down this front straightaway, close the gap a little bit to Oleski, but it doesn't look like Friad can make a whole lot of ground on Oleski. So Oleski might have that AlphaTauri trimmed out just a little bit more than that Alpine. Meanwhile, we've got Louis Quinlan battling it out with Lewis Marshall in the Williams. This is a battle for 7th. Caution flag flies sector 2. Looks like that's going to be somebody. That's Lesmos. That's where some of these guys are heading up on. It looks like that is one of the... Is that Senna Haywire that was off? Yep, Senna is off at the Lesmos as he's trying to get out of the way of these other drivers. And a 10-second time penalty for Senna Haywire exceeding the track limits. Trying to stay out of the way of oncoming traffic, but perhaps should have just stayed stationary. Senna still trying to hold off a hard-charging Tim Ventic. This is the closest Tim has been in a number of laps now. 0.3 of a second. And both of these guys have caught Oleski. And caution flag flies sector 3. That's Senna Haywire, I believe, trying to get back around the track. Looks like he's all by his lonesome. 3-second time penalty for Lewis Marshall. Lewis battling it out with Louis Quinlan. They both have timing penalties now. Oh, and Tim really pushing the boundaries of that car as he drives the outside rails through Lesmos. Still not close enough to make a pass. And fastest lap of this race has just gone to Luke Smith in the Mercedes, currently running in the 13th position, 30 seconds behind Jure Marusic for 12th. He was involved in that demolition derby lap a few laps ago. He's been in, got a fresh set of tires, new wing. Friabile now, the closest he's been to Oleski, and he's going to have the DRS. He might actually have a chance to make a run this time as they head down into turn 1. Friabile with the DRS open is going to dive to the inside of Oleski, finally take that position away. Oleski's going to try and hang tough on the outside, which will become the inside, but he can't make it stick, and Friab's going to get away. So Oleski drops to third, Friab up into second. You see one of the Aston Martins, that's Senna Haywire, who has parked his car and ended his race. So after everything that has happened on these opening laps, we've only got one DNF, Senna Haywire, who has parked it, called it a day. Looks like we've got a battle here. Lewis Marshall, Cameron Weston Edwards. Oh, and whoa, down to the grass. Cameron's having none of it, dives to the inside. They make contact through Lesmos, and that's, oh no. Oh, and Cameron gets hit again. Oh, and he's still in the Lesmos. And a full course caution. And I'm sorry I couldn't get better angles of that wreck as it unfolded. I got to tell you, this year's camera controls are not as user-friendly as they were in years past for Codemasters. So, is this a safety car or is this a virtual safety car? No, this is a full safety car. So, and we pick up Logan Arond. Logan did not dive into the pits. I thought a lot of guys would have dived in, free pit stop. But the top three runners, Logan Arond, Friabile, and Tim Ventic, all stay out. Oleski pitted, Sandro Dulius, Nick Van Gelder, Louis Quinlan, Lewis Marshall, Nicolo Falzarezzi, Ivan Brito, Cameron Weston Edwards, all diving into the pits. What a turn of events. And that really started with Cameron and Lewis Marshall. Lewis ran Cameron down into the grass, and Cameron is a very aggressive driver, wasn't having any of it, rode the grass, got to the inside of Lewis at Lesmos. Unfortunately, both of them did not have a great line or arc heading into Lesmos 1. They made contact. Lewis got shoved to the outside into the gravel. Lewis then tried to get back on track. Cameron went around and got T-boned. I'm surprised we don't have more cars out of this race after everything that's unfolded. So we will pick up Logan Arond. He is now caught in the back of the safety car. So we see one of the, looks like that might have been Christian Dorman going around to catch up. So we'll see if anybody decides to take a pit stop now. Be too little too late. Perhaps Logan was already past the pit entry when the full course caution came out. I don't think he was, though. This at least gives me a chance to drink some coffee and wake up a little bit. So 10 laps in of this 27-lap event. We've only lost one car that was sent a haywire a couple of laps ago, where he parked it on the side of turn, actually right here, coming out of the chicane. We've had a lot of on-track melees, but that's the only DNF that we had, and his wasn't even a crash. Logan Arond, your current leader, followed by Friab Belay in the Alpine. Tim Ventic has moved his way into third position. Oleski currently running fourth. Sandro started fifth, currently in fifth. Nick Van Gelder behind him, your Season 4 champion, in the sixth position. Lewis Marshall's had a bit of an up-and-down day, currently in seventh. Ivan Brito finds himself in ninth. Louis Quinlan, making his SRL return, finds himself in the ninth position. Nicolo Falzarezzi, who crashed in qualifying, then had an on-track melee, has now managed to make his way up to 10th from the 17th spot starting position. Cameron Weston Edwards, who was involved in their latest caution, now back down to 11th. Jo Marusic is quietly running in 12th. Robin Herderstagen quietly running in 13th. Luke Smith, who has also had an up-and-down day, currently running in 14th. The fastest lap of this race is credited to him as of right now. Dion Stahl was involved in the opening lap melee at turn 1, currently down in the 15th spot. And Christian Dorman rounds out your 16 drivers remaining in today's race. So Sam Brandt looking at Sandro, Cameron, and Lewis and Louie, asking as if this is 2018, a few seasons ago, when all of these guys were last on track together. So good to have everyone back on track. Sam, you could join the party. We're going to sit around the campfire later and sing Kumbaya. So we're going to do probably one more lap around under the safety cars. We continue to circulate. Lap 11 of 27 now. You see timing penalties only assessed to Sandro Dulius, Lewis Marshall, and Louis Quinlan. And at least one, possibly two of those are going to be investigated after the race, I'm sure. I do believe Sandro picked up his timing penalty, cutting the chicane at on lap 1, trying to avoid what was surely going to be a massive melee. But Logan Arond has been out in front of this race, controlling it from the get-go. Friab Belay still looking for his maiden F1 win since joining SRL so far this season. He's got 3 podiums and a pole position to his credit after joining a few rounds ago. Tim Ventic trying to make up for that DNF that he had last week at Spa. 28-point gap between him and championship points leader Logan Arond. And safety car is going to be in this lap. We get confirmation from race control. Logan Arond will become the control car. Logan did a fantastic job last week being the control car. And a 3-second time penalty for Christian Dorman under safety car conditions. Always impressive to get a timing penalty under the yellow flag. So when will Logan decide to hit the go button? And it looks like he is off to the races. And look at the gap he immediately pulls as he guns it going into the Parabolica. Caught Friab Belay napping. And here comes Tim Ventic. Now, no DRS just yet, but he's going to have that slipstream as he heads down into turn 1. Is Tim going to try and outbrake Friab into the chicane? He is not, thinks better of it. And Tim really, we got a lot going on in the back here. Look at this gaggle of cars coming out of turn 3 down towards the second chicane. Cameron Weston Edwards side by side with Ivan Brito. Nicolo Falzarezzi's moved himself into 9th, and Cameron Weston Edwards still side by side. Gets to the inside of Ivan Brito as they head through Lesbos 1. Cameron is still there, and he's going to try and take that position. Runs it a little wide. He loses the back end. Ivan Brito, Lewis Marshall going to go by. I'm sorry, Luke Smith. And Cameron's going to try and hang tough around the outside of Ascari. Somehow he makes that work. Great defensive driving by Cameron Edwards. It is what he does best. And you see these cars are still battling it out side by side as they fan out down this back straightaway into the Parabolica. And this is Christian Dorman around the outside of Luke Smith. He's not able to make that work. And now Ivan Brito trying to hold off a hard-charging Luke Smith, but also trying to find a way around Cameron Weston Edwards, and you're going to have your work cut out for that. Luke Smith dives to the inside of Ivan Brito. Oh, and he makes contact with Cameron Weston Edwards. But he manages to get the job done, moves into the 11th position, as Cameron hangs on to 10th. Whoa, who is that that's gone around? Is that Dion Stahl? That was Jur Marusic, who blew through the chicane. Lost the back end under braking. Meanwhile, Luke Smith going to try and find a way around Cameron Weston Edwards. Cameron showing why he is the hardest driver to pass in SRL. And we've got a yellow flag. That's Nick Van Gelder. Nick Van Gelder coming out of Ascari, lost the car, bins it, and Nick's day is done. And is this a virtual safety car, or is this going to be another full safety car as Logan dives into the pits this time round? So that's going to put Oleski out in front. And this is another full safety car. Ascari has called out so many drivers this weekend through qualifying, through the race. Let's see if we can get Nick into the party and have him join us once again, just like last week. See if I can figure out how to do that. All right, so I think I sent Nick an invite to join us in the booth when he gets a chance. So let's take a look here at this running order. This is now the second safety car we've had. So Oleski is now out in front. But you know what? Before we do that, let's get some pit stop. Okay, so everybody's made at least one pit stop. We'll check out how many people have got laps on their tires. So this is quite a change in pace to what we saw. Now you see Oleski is now your leader, followed by Sandro Dulius and Lewis Marshall up into the podium spot, followed by Louis Quinlan. Cameron Weston Edwards driving a great defensive race is now up into 5th. Luke Smith finds himself in 6th. Ivan Brito still floating around the back half of the top 10, now into 7th. Christian Dorman is 8th. Dion Stahl 9th. And Logan Aran, who is now fallen back to 10th after making that pit stop under this safety car. Jur Marusic is 11th. You see here, Friad Bile also made a pit stop, is now fallen to 12th. Tim Ventic made a pit stop under this safety car, is now 13th. Nicolo Falzarezzi, who has not been able to make much headway this race, is now 14th. And Robin Herterstagen is going to be bringing up the rear. The safety car should be in this lap. What a change in the running order. 12 laps remaining in what has been a chaotic and very entertaining race. The safety car should come in this lap. And Sam Brandt is getting a little excited for Sandro and the Ferrari being in the podium spot. Could Ferrari get a home win? If Sandro got a win today, it would be his 10th career victory in SRL. I'm sure he would love to crack into the double digits. And again, that timing penalty that's been assessed to Sandro, that will probably get investigated and removed towards the end of this race. But for the sake of argument, Sandro would still unofficially need to at least get out in front and gap Oleski by 3 seconds. And it looks like we've got Nick joining the party. Looks like we're back to green flag racing. Maybe Oleski's playing some games here with some of these guys. He holds them up to the very last minute. And a big jump by Louis Quinlan and Lewis Marshall. That was a very late start from Oleski as these guys all head down into turn one, and Sandro's made contact again. Cameron Weston Edwards up into the 5th spot. And Christian Dorman into 5th. And I know Nick joined. I don't know if Nick's talking. I don't know if my audio settings are correct. Probably not.
It's okay, I can hear you.
There he is. All right, I can hear Nick.
Interfere with what was happening on the track.
And Free Abile has made his way back up into 6th now. Sandro Dulius has dropped down to 4th. And somehow Louis Quinlan is now in 2nd spot behind Oleski. But Oleski's checked out. 2.5-second gap back to Louis Quinlan as Louis heads into Ascari. He's got Cameron Weston Edwards with him. That would be an interesting podium for sure. Sandro Dulius got bumped heading into the first turn. And you now see Sandro has got Christian Dorman and everybody else behind him. For this 5th spot, Tim Ventic has made his way into 7th. Logan Aron is currently only 9th. And now Free Abile trying to find a way around Christian Dorman for the 5th position. Oliver and the gearbox dives to the inside. So Free Ab is going to try and make a move. Cameron Weston Edwards manages to get around Sandro. And Sandro looks like he's getting touched again by Free Abile this time. And Tim Ventic has fallen back a little bit. Now 8th position. Here comes Dion Stahl to the inside of him. Whoa, and who is the Williams there? Looks like that was Christian Dorman. Blew the chicane. That's going to move up Tim Ventic and Dion Stahl. 7th and 8th now. So Epic, Logan Aron, your championship points leader, manages to get by Tim. Tim is now right behind him. Looks like we got a little bit of a glitch there on the live stream there. That's Dion Stahl splitting the two Haas's. And a lot going on this race. And Tim Ventic trying to make a move on his teammate. Whoa, and around goes Dion. Dion Stahl into the wall coming out of Ascari, and Ascari has called out so many drivers today.
Yeah, it called out me as well, but unfortunately for Dion and for the other driver in the Ferrari Central, I think I saw a message saying that he disconnected, but I think he is back in the session now.
And it looks like somewhere along the line we lost Lewis Marshall as well. I didn't see that happen, so Lewis Marshall is gone.
And the two Haas cars dispatching of Sandro Dulis here as well. They have to get through quickly. Tim Venting up into 5th place. Logan Aron is stuck behind Sandro Dulis. But yeah, very fiery opening restart here after the safety car, which was caused by myself. Very unfortunate. I think my race was going really well. I was pushing very hard by Sandro, but I was caught out with the dirt here in Ascari and lost on the exit. Had a bit of floor damage as well, and I lost the car, I lost the backhand, and sort of overcorrected into the wall, and yeah, it ended my race, which was very, very unfortunate because I think I could have really had a good result here.
They're running solidly into the top 10, definitely trying to make up for last week's debacle, but unfortunately you are here with me again.
Again, yeah. He told me like that we're hoping that we're not going to talk to me this this week again, but unfortunately it's happened again.
So currently watching the battle here, this is 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's Cameron Weston Edwards, followed by Tim Ventic and Logan Arond. And Cameron running a very, very good race, solidly up into the points, was running in 3rd there for a hot minute, but he's got 2 of the fastest drivers behind him right now in Tim Ventic and Logan Arond.
And Tim Ventic now getting through on Cameron Weston Edwards here on the start finish. Logan Arond will want to finish him as well. He can't afford to be stuck behind, and he does also take advantage of the DRS and moves him up into P5. So let's see if the two Haas teammates will encounter in a battle again, because of course they are still both fighting for the championship. But Tim Ventic is going to be desperate to finish in front of Logan Arond after losing out 25 points in the last race when he crashed out and Logan Arond won.
Yeah, 28-point gap heading into today's race after Tim Ventic's DNF last week at Spa. And right now it's only one position, but every point counts, as we've seen in the past. Primarily your season in which you won the championship, that was definitely a season where every point counted for you to win.
Absolutely.
Season 4 at the end. So every position, every point's going to matter. Tim Ventic trying to capitalize on what has happened throughout the course of this race.
Sandoulis has seemed to have made another mistake. He is down into P10. Just hanging on to 1 point.
Well, Sandro has had a tumultuous day. He's been bumped around and knocked around multiple times, especially heading into turn 1 chicane. Luckily, nothing more than just a couple of bumps and bruises to call it out, but could have been a lot worse. Still fighting in the points, though.
Is lining up his teammate. He's got the DRS again on the start finisher, but it doesn't look like he's close enough just yet.
And we see Oleski is out in front by almost 5 seconds over Louis Quinlan, which it would be great to see Louis finish on the podium in his SRL return, but he's got himself a hard-charging Friab Belay coming up on the back of him now in the 3rd spot. And looks like Louis had a little bit of an issue coming out of the 2nd chicane. We hop on board with Friab Belay as they head into Lesmos 1 and down the short chute, and another twitch there by Louis Quinlan, trying to stay out in front of Friab Belay. Friab's going to have the DRS down this straightaway, and there's not going to be much Louis going to be able to do about that. Looks like he's not going to fight Friab Belay too hard, so Friab's going to pick up the 2nd spot. And Louis Quinlan drops to 3rd. And Tim Ventic and Luke Smith, Logan Arond are hard charging 4th and 5th now, as they are a second and a half back from Louis Quinlan. Louis hasn't given up on that fight, though, with Friab Belay. He's going to have the DRS as they come down the front straightaway. They come out of the Parabolica. And he's not going to be close enough to make a move. However, Logan Arond is closing the gap down to Tim Ventic. It looks like he's going to look to the inside to try and make a move late on the brakes. And they make contact. But it looks like Logan's going to get that spot. And Louis got a bad exit coming out of that corner. So here comes Logan around the outside of Louis Quinlan, heading down into the 2nd chicane. And Louis finds himself in the middle of a Haas sandwich now.
Yeah, great driving there by Logan Arond to capitalize on those 2 cars, getting himself up into P3 now. And Tim Ventic caught a sleep later, but he's still stuck behind Louis Quinlan on his SRL return. So Tim Ventic will be looking to get through the Mercedes to chase after his teammate again. He's got the DRS now on the back straight, running up to Askai. He goes to the inside, and now he can set his sights again on Logan Arond.
He's not going to have the best entrance into Ascari, but he's going to be able to get in front of Louis Quinlan as they head back out. But Louis looks like he's going to have a little bit of a better run coming out of Ascari. Was able to arc the corner a little bit. Going to pick up the slipstream. I never understood why this was not a DRS zone. Cameron Weston Edwards picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Louis lost the front end heading into the Parabolica, so now he's gapped by Tim Ventic. He'll have the DRS as they come down the front straightaway, but so will Tim Ventic. And meanwhile, while all of this was happening, Ivan Brito managed to work his way into the 7th position over Christian Dorman. So another great race today by Ivan Brito. And it looks like Louis Quinlan is going to start losing touch with the battle for third here between Logan Aran and Tim Ventic.
Yeah, great job Gel from Alexei Kovanen to put himself in the lead of this race. I don't think many people were expecting him to be at the front today. Of course, Free Belay has shown how good his pace is in the previous couple of rounds into second place now with the 2 Haas cars in P3 and 4. Tim Ventic, he can't afford to finish that Logan yet again, can he? The gap is going to be over 30 points.
Whoa, and somebody just went around. Was that Louis?
That was Louis Quinlan, yes. He's going to have to be careful to rejoin the track here. Luckily there's a bit of a gap in the field. He rejoins in P8. That's unfortunate for him. He's lost his front wing. He was doing well in his return here at Monza, but he's going to drop back down to the points after he's made his pit stop to repair his
Lost the back end coming out of Lesmos too. Bends it into the wall, loses the front wing. That's now going to move Robin Hertestegen, who has quietly worked his way into the points to begin with, and now he's going to pick up a bonus position over Louis Quinlan for 8th. So good on Robin Hertestegen.
Definitely, and also Ivan Brito here lining up Cameron West efforts to also get past and on the start finish straight, aided by the DRS of course. Looks like Cameron West Edwards is just far enough ahead to defend this position in turn 1.
Well, if there's one thing I know about Cameron, his car is probably trimmed out a little bit more than anybody else, and looks like Louis Quinlan's going to retire from this race as he pulls it into the pits and calls it a day. That's a shame. It was good to see Louis back on track as we continue to ride along with Ivan Brito. And 2 things Cameron is known for is a trimmed out race car and extremely defensive driving, and Ivan Brito is going to find out just how hard it is to get around Cameron Weston Edwards without any DRS.
Absolutely, we know how good Cameron is defending. Next to us, Lesmo 2, sorry. Ivan Brito is going to try it. He was looking on the right, he looked to the left. Cameron Weston Edwards taking a defending line to Ascari here, and it doesn't look like Ivan Brito can find a way through just yet.
Whoa, and a bit of a moment there for Ivan as he tries to hang tough. He's going to get a good run coming out of Ascari. But Cameron has this ability to, when he defends, he doesn't make hard moves. He kind of fades the car in the direction that he knows you're going to go, and it's a constant roadblock.
That's a very, very accurate description. Ivan Brito, it looked like he had a good exit there with the tight line on the exit of Parabolica. Again, he ducks back into the McLaren to get a bit of slipstream. He's going to look to the outside. It's going to be very difficult to make work here. Into turn 1, Cameron Weston Edwards late on the brakes.
Oh,
Ivan Brito
and
locks up his time, but he is the inside. Oh, well, great drive there from Ivan Brito, getting up into 5th place.
Ivan Brito with a great pass. Cameron's going to try and come back. And I always have a great time watching Cameron. And he gets back to the inside of Ivan Brito. What a move by Cameron. I don't think Ivan expected it and lost the front end a little bit.
Oh yeah, great move for Cameron as well. And while we're watching that, also Nicola Valtresi made a move into turn 1 on St. George for P9.
So Ivan going to come out of Lesmos too. He's going to have the DRS once again. Meanwhile, nothing has changed at the front. The gap has come down. It was a 5-second gap at one point. It's now down to 3.3. I don't think there's enough time left for Friat Belay to try and make that move. And Ivan Brito being very smart as they headed to Ascari to not try and send it. He's going to get a good run coming out of there. Dives to the inside. Going to be able to go side by side with Cameron Weston Edwards, and he's going to have the position heading into Parabolica.
But of course, Cameron Weston Edwards is going to have the DRS again because Ivan was in front of the DRS detection point. So let's see if Cameron Weston Edwards can repeat what I did and get back in front before we get into turn 1.
And Cameron all the way down to the inside, down towards pit exit. And he's going to easily make that pass.
Yeah, that's the thing with Monza, isn't it? You can't escape because the DRS is so powerful. So this is probably going to be a battle that will continue on towards the end of this race. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, meanwhile, while these two have been battling it out, it has allowed Christian Dorman to come into fray. He is just outside of the DRS zone with a 1.2 second gap back to him. Could have ourselves a 3-car battle as this race winds down. Meanwhile, back towards the front, Logan Aran has now caught the back of Friat Belay for the second position. and has really stepped away. He's 3.2 second gap back to Tim Ventic. So Tim has lost touch with Logan and Ron as Logan is looking to make a move on Free Abile for the second spot.
Yeah, Logan, he is gonna be wanting to put a car between himself and Tim Venting to just increase the championship lead even more. He's got a good chance here with Abile being too far back from Alexei Kovalev. But yeah, both of these are actually closing in on Kovalev, but I think with just the 2 laps remaining, Alexei Kovalev has done enough.
Now the gap has come down 2.9 seconds now back to Free Abile, so it would be a lot. It'd be a 1.5-second gap to try and make that work. But Cameron Weston Edwards and Free Abile still going back and forth. Cameron to the inside as they head down into turn 1. And here it is now a 3-car battle. Christian Dorman has become a part of this. Cameron gets out in front. But here comes Christian Dorman in the Williams. Down into the second chicane. You see Cameron Weston Edwards is his 5th, 6th, and 7th. As the laps wind down, a caution flag flies sector 3. Looks like that was possibly Luke Smith coming out of Ascari. Luke is not having the race I'm sure Luke wanted to have.
Yeah, it's been a disappointing race for Luke Smith. Also, Free Abile is still very, very close to Logan on. And of course, with Logan finishing in either P2 or 3, it could have massive impact on the championship, of course, because you will gain points on Tim Venting either way. As there's been yellow flags in the Ascari. Oh no! Christian Dorman and Ivan Brito have collided. Cameron Weston Edwards was involved in it as well. So both of these
here
drivers...
comes Robin Herderstagen trying to get around him, and Robin's going to pick up a 2-for-1 deal as he moves into the 6th position. And Ivan Brito, Christian Dorman are having such a good battle.
All 3 of these drivers lost in the Ascari. I would love to know what actually happened there. They must have made contact, or one of them might have made a mistake and collected these 2, but they all crashed at the exit of the Ascari corner, like we've seen a few other drivers do as well. And interestingly enough, Christian Dorman actually is continuing on without the front wing. Yeah, because it's the last lap, of course. He's going to try and hang on with no front wing on this final lap.
Now that is going to be interesting. He's going to be really fast down the front straight, but he is going to lose everything in some of these high-speed corners. Ivan Brito should be able to get that position back from him. And it looks like Ivan Brito doesn't have a front wing either. Both of these guys are running around with no front wing. So the battle for 7th is between 2 cars that have no front downforce whatsoever as they head through these high-speed corners. And here comes Nicola Falzarezzi. He's coming up on these 2 guys. Oleski has won this race. Logan Aron is 2nd. Free Abile is 3rd, but we're watching Nicola Falzarezzi in his home Grand Prix coming into this race off of a slew of podium finishes. Does he have enough time to try and pick up 2 positions on these wounded cars of Christian Dorman and Ivan Brito? And they are running side by side. Falzarezzi sees them. Ivan Brito to the inside of Christian Dorman. Falzarezzi's going to have the downforce through the parabolica, but I don't think he's going to have enough time or speed to get to him. Ivan Brito is going to come across the line in the 7th position. Now Falzarezzi's going to pick up 8th over the timing penalties from Christian Dorman, and Jur Marusic is going to pick up the last points-paying position over Sandro Dulius. Meanwhile, Dion Stahl coming down the back straightaway now is going to be in the 12th spot, and Luke Smith, who set a qualifying time of 1:25 on intermediates, 6 seconds off of the pole time. He had the potential to run a really fast race. And I tell you, the day Luke Smith decides to take his online racing seriously is the day everybody else starts running for 2nd place.
Yeah, Alexei Kovalev, that's the first victory for him in a long time. Great to see him win. Logan Aron, a crucial 2nd place for him, increasing his lead in the championship over Tim Venting. And Free Abile completing the podium. Tim Venting is going to be disappointed with P4. And yeah, also great seeing Ivan Brito and Christian Dorman fighting it out with no front wing, and Nicola Falzarezzi was closing up the day. He just couldn't get through on those 2 guys. He's going to be a little bit disappointing as well with P9 in his home race. And also, good job by Jurgen Risic fighting off Sander Dulis there to pick up the final points.
So driver of the day, according to the game, is going to go to Nicolo Falzarezzi, starting 17th and finishing 10th. But my vote is definitely going to go to Oleski. Another win for him, his first one of the season, and as you said, the first one in a long time. And this is now, with Falzarezzi finishing only in the 9th position, this is going to catapult Oleski back into 3rd in points on the championship. So your unofficial results for today's race is Oleski with the win. Logan Aran manages to finish 2nd. Friat Bile with another podium finish. Tim Ventic making his comeback after last week's DNF is going to be 4th. Robin Herterstagen with a great run to 5th, his best run of the year, followed by his teammate Cameron Weston Edwards. Great day for McLaren. Ivan Brito with another solid outing today, putting more points on the board for Aston Martin as he finishes 7th. Nicolo Falzarezzi unofficially 8th. Christian Dorman is 9th. Jurgen Risic does pick up that 10th and final points paying position. And you see here Sandro Dulius is 11th, Dion Stahl 12th, Luke Smith 13th, and then 13 through 17 is all DNFs. I'm sorry, 14 through 17 is all DNFs. That's Louis Quinlan, Lewis Marshall, Nick Van Gelder, who's been with me, and Senna Haywire, rounding out your 17 drivers for today's event. So another exciting race. Once again, always great to have you in the booth, but Nick, this is not how we want to do it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was really frustrated with my crash because on a track like this in Monza, my qualifying was pretty good in P6. I had a really bad start, but I had a really good chance again after the safety car reason. Of course, I was in that leading group, and with the slipstreaming as well, it's relatively easy to stay with somebody as long as you can just stay in the slipstream. So I was pushing very hard to stay in that first group behind Sandro. And I knew that as long as I was able to stay in that train and also avoid getting penalties, I knew I was in for a pretty decent result. I could have definitely had a top 5, I think. But yeah, I mean, I was just pushing too hard. I had a little bit of floor damage from the first lap, and I was coming through a Scari. I lost the back end and yeah, just overcorrected into a roll and ended my race. But it was almost more frustrating than Spa because I thought, I was having a good race and I could have been on for a good result. But anyway, it's 2 DNFs in a row, but hopefully for the next round in Baku I can finally get a decent result again.
Yep, and once again, another stellar race here by SRL. So like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Check us out online, and be sure to like and follow us on Instagram, where you catch up on all the news and notes after today's outing. I'm Kamikaze Fox. This has been SRL with Nick Van Gelder. We will see everybody at the next round.